Shit. Well, hello and welcome, my friends. I'm Kodiak Broncos, and hello, everybody. I just want to say what's up to you guys. I'm using a new CamLink software for my face and my recording, so let me know what you think of that. But either way, be sure to smash that like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're not already. You guys have been awesome to interact with, but time to talk about some Broncos. It's time for some late night Broncos talk, brought to you by Kodiak here on this fine Wednesday evening, November 19th, 11:38 p.m. Yeah, overall, I'm just really looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say about the Broncos. Had a long day today, so just really happy that I get the chance to come on here and kick it with y'all, and happy that I get the chance to, you know, um, chill with you guys after a long day. And yeah, I worked tonight. It was a lot of fun. I had a really good night at work, and yeah, overall, I just really enjoyed it. But now we get to talk about some Broncos, and this is me talking about how far will the Denver Broncos go in the 2025 NFL playoffs. Um, so I want to hear what you guys think. As always, this show is you guys make this show. So drop a comment and just make sure you guys are ready to say something and contribute because just join the community that we have right here. And yeah. Hold on. I am going to set up something real quick. All right. Here we go. All right. So comments will be seen on the stage. Now, here's a couple things I have to say about the Broncos and their Super Bowl chances this year. First of all, I think the Broncos have a pretty good shot at doing something in the playoffs. All right. The reason I think the Broncos have a really good shot at doing something in the playoffs is because this team and this defense is nails, especially at home. Okay. Now you go on the road, your pass rush probably isn't the same, but it's still one of the best in the NFL. Most pressures in the NFL, highest pressure rate in the NFL because of how teams have to play against you and because of how good Denver has built their roster and the fact that the teams have to respect your front while you are wreaking havoc or whatever. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Is that also, what do you guys think of my new 4K camera software? Y'all rock with it? Either way. So yeah, I think the Broncos can make a run, and it's going to largely depend on the offense because I trust this defense I would trust this defense with my life. Even the only bad game they had this year, I would say, was against the Indianapolis Colts, or they didn't play very well against the Giants either. But the Giants got pretty lucky in a lot of situations. That being said, I think the real only bad game the Broncos had this year was against the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm willing to chalk that up to Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton was a joke that game. Literally a Levi Wallace level game at inside linebacker for the Denver Broncos. But after that, I'm going to move my mic a little closer to my face. But why does this keep autofocusing? Why does this keep unfocusing and refocusing? I don't know. I don't like it. Okay, maybe I need to make it a little lighter. Either way, yeah, so that's what's going on right there. Talking about this team and where they're headed specifically in the playoffs, I think they can make a deep run. I think they can make a run, but yeah, I'm going to flash my banner across the screen. And yeah, all right. So, it seems like all my friends are actually asleep right now, so no big deal. But for those of you who are here and for those of you who do want to chill with me, I know 11:30 is pretty late for a show, but we got late night Broncos talk here with Kodiak Broncos, and yeah. Let me know what you guys think. This is your own personal bat signal to getting my takes and how I feel about everything related to the Denver Broncos. So I hope you guys enjoy. And I'm just waiting for y'all to show up. But once again, if you're just a person who's like, hey, man, what do you think? If you're watching on the replay and you're just like, what are you thinking about the Broncos' chances this year? I think they could do some damage. I really think they can go far in this league, in these playoffs. And, listening to Vance Joseph this past week, it gave me a new confidence in this team. it gave me a new confidence in this defense. So yeah, um, that's what made me feel really, really good about it. But overall, I'm just doing this to flex my new camera. Like, in all honesty, like you guys see my hands move just a little bit. And overall, I'm loving what I got going on here. I'm loving what I got going on here. Just played against one of my friends in college football. So if you guys are tuned in right here, let me know how your guys' night is going. Let me know how your guys' night is treating you so far. Roan77, always great to see you in here, my guy. Hopefully Vance Joseph stays. I agree. You know, a lot of people are really excited about Jim Leonard potentially taking over as the defensive coordinator, but the problem with that is you're losing a sure thing. You're losing a sure thing at your defensive coordinator. And I don't know, maybe Vance Joseph doesn't want to give it a crack somewhere else because he said today that when you're winning, being with the Denver Broncos is one of the best jobs in the NFL because of how much he loves this organization, because of how much he loves this team, because of how much he loves this city, because of, you know, the fact that he played his college football in Boulder. Um, you know, his kids went to school here in 2018, 2019. So, yeah. I think that's a big deal. That is a really, really, really big deal for a guy like Vance Joseph. And, you know, if he does happen to move on, then I don't think it would be like ludicrous or anything like that. But we'll see. We'll see because ultimately I do think Vance Joseph will probably get another head coaching job this year. Now, the issue is that I think it'll be interesting to see where he goes because it seems like tensions are really boiling over in Cincinnati, and that seems like a place where I would really, really like to see him land if he does decide that he's ready to give it another crack at being a head coach. And, you know, I made this point. A lot of people have said, where do you think Vance Joseph's going to go? And the big problem is that I think he is going to, unfortunately, be hired as a head coach again. Like, literally, this coaching staff has been poached at will by teams the past few weeks or few years, I should say. You know, last year when the Broncos, you know, finally made it to the playoffs, 10-7 football team, you saw we lost a lot of coordinators. I don't know why we lost so many coordinators, but also my nose itch is really bad. I don't know why my nose itch is so bad, but yeah, I hope Vance Joseph stays too. You know, when your owner is worth $18 trillion, why not just pay as many assistant head coach salaries as possible? Why not make Vance Joseph the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league? Why not give Vance Joseph a blank check and be like, here you go? Because the money they're getting back from the brand exposure and being a part of the Denver Broncos and being a part of the community and being a part of Broncos country is insane. It's like actually insane. So I think we've had a really, really, really spoiled, or we've been spoiled as Broncos fans to see Vance Joseph not only get a second chance, but do well with his second chance. So, yeah, that's how I'm feeling there. But either way, I don't think Vance Joseph stays. I really don't. I really don't. Which it's unfortunate to say, but, you know, such as life in the modern NFL, such as life when, you know, guys are moving on, when guys are getting promotions, and hey, that's completely fine. Like, I'm not tripping. I ain't tripping about it, but it is very unfortunate. I will say that. I will say that. Happy to see a handful of y'all in here right now. But yeah, I think the Broncos can go really far in the playoffs. I think the Broncos can go really far in these NFL playoffs, and you know, it'll be interesting to see because honestly, a big part of it is going to be seeding. I think it wouldn't surprise me if New England made the Super Bowl. It wouldn't surprise me if just a lot of other teams made it back to where they were supposed to. And yeah. Overall, but let me know how you guys are feeling. Let me know how you guys are feeling about that take. If you were watching this on the replay, you probably fell asleep while with your TV on. So, that is perfectly okay. Waiting for that guy from Kuwait to show back up because he was so nice, and he gave me some of the best takes that I've seen so far on this Broncos show. Well, yeah. Either way, it looks like. I'm tired too. Welcome, Seth Yoed. I hope you've had a long day of writing. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Always a pleasure to see you. I agree, Seth Yoed. You are a pretty smart football mind, and I do think you should. What's it called? I think you should start actually making like content because I think I like what you have to say, even if it takes a sentence or 20,000 for it to come out. I like what I have to say. You hear about Davis Webb from Tom Pelissero about a potential head coaching job. Um, I did, and it's interesting to me because I think a lot of the really plugged in national guys have said that Denver has two future head coaches on their staff, not even including Vance Joseph. A lot of people have said that Denver has two future head coaches on their staff in Davis Webb and Jim Leonard. At some point within the next 5-10 years, they will get their chance to be head coaches in the NFL. And I don't see any reason to disagree with that. Obviously, Leonard, it's still going to take him time to develop as a coach, but I'm really excited for him. I'm really excited if he does get the chance to run our defense. I'm excited for him and the opportunity. Now, obviously, that would be meaning Vance, but losing Vance. But yeah, they want Vance Joseph over our dead bodies, literally. Literally. I was making this point earlier. I don't know if you caught it, Seth, but I was like, you know what? If you are the Denver Broncos, you have to give Vance Joseph whatever he wants. You have to give him Walmart gift cards. You have to give him, I don't know, free lifetime purchases, free discounts from the Walmart organization. But yeah, like I said, I do think Vance going to Cincinnati instantly almost makes them a playoff contender. Especially because the defensive side of the ball has been a total joke. And, he talked about visions today. He's like, what's our vision for this player, when it's the draft? And, I think that's really smart. They clearly have a defined process for everybody that comes through those doors. There's about 15 of you in here. Everybody say what's up in the chat. I will try to get to all your comments, but yeah, looks like we've got quite a few of you in the vertical stream. Also, I got this new 4K like camera software, and look how clearly it like records my little movements or whatever. He learned to build a team under Sean Payton, but I think he sees this championship defense through. Yeah, 100%. Like, now I would have said the same thing with Ben Johnson. But Ben Johnson was a guy who was clearly taking head coaching interviews not that long ago. Now, Vance Joseph, he did interview with the Jets, I think, last year, but I don't think they were ever like serious about getting him, but they did. He was on their radar. So, once again, I think if he's one of those coaches, he will get the chance to, or he will not refuse. Like, I think even if it's undesirable job, I think since the NFL is so competitive and guys have legacies on their mind and guys look whatever, yeah, that's how I think. Hello, Kodiak, longtime listener, first-time caller. Appreciate you, Deity559. You've probably been riding with me for a year because I've been making Broncos content for about a year. So, longtime listener, I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening to my content. And first-time caller. I like the idea of people calling in to my late-night show. But either way, once again, 4K setting on my camera. Let me know what you guys think about that. Either way, what would I say Terrell Davis means to me? So I think here's what Terrell Davis means to me. I was not alive when I watched him play football or when he was, running wild with the Broncos. I was not alive. I was born 2 to 3 years after his time here. Actually, no. I think when did he tear his ACL? 2002. So I was alive, I guess, for the back half of his career. But yeah, then he was never the same running back after all that happened. And what would I say Terrell Davis means to me? I saw him come into my restaurant that I worked at about 3 years ago. Around this time, I remember it was around like Thanksgiving. I think it was when it was starting to get cold out. So maybe like early November 3 years ago, slow night. And I saw Terrell Davis walk in with OJ Simpson. Now, I did have a little interaction with him. Like he did asked me something. I can't remember what it was about. It was about the drink or the popcorn or whatever that we served at the restaurant I used to work at. So, but he amazing human, and being able to watch him on NFL Network, that's the gist of how I've been able to consume Terrell Davis throughout my lifetime. When I was 11 years old, my dad bought me those like America's Game DVDs because I had so many questions about the Avs and the Broncos and like all that from the late 90s, early 2000s that I never got a chance to see. Like, so I got to see the Broncos 97 championship video. I got to see the Broncos 98 championship video. I got to see the Avs. What am I saying? The Avs championship videos. And back in the day, it seems like late 90s was really the place to grow up in Denver. And early 2000s, like honestly, maybe at that point I should have been busting out of MySpace. No, I'm kidding. But Terrell Davis, he's got to be on your Broncos Mount Rushmore. Like, I don't care who is talking. I don't care who makes the Broncos Mount Rushmore. You'd be a fool if Terrell Davis was not on it. But yeah, once again, I never got to watch him play, but he's on my Mount Rushmore. Like, I think any Broncos fan is very valid with their love of Terrell Davis. And honestly, I never watched him play, but I love the running back position. I would probably be a running back coach if I were in the NFL. But I would I would build a shrine to Terrell Davis. Best moment of his career. Are you talking about TD or Sean Payton or who? Cam looks good. Oh, thank you. You think the camera looks good? I'm glad. Always good to see you in here, Rowan. Always like your positivity. Seth Theoid. Terrell benefited from that dominant offensive line. Yes, agreed. But he made that championship team what it was. It kind of reminds me of like the Cowboys with Zeke in 2016. Like, obviously they had the Great Wall of Dallas or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's the running back who made it really, really work. Like in 2016, when Ezekiel Elliott was running wild as a rookie, Darren McFadden the year before, I forget who in 2015, was the Cowboys' lead running back. They simply were not as effective as Ezekiel Elliott when he was a rookie. Rookie Zeke was different. I know that's crazy to say now, considering how fast he washed out of the NFL based on the fact that guys that were drafted around his time frame are still kind of churning it along, like Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, Joe Mixon, even though he's, hurt or whatever, Kamara. That 2017 running back class was generational. James Conner. I know Leonard Fournette's not in the NFL anymore, but that's another one. CMC, still doing CMC things. So, yeah, he reminds me a lot of 2016 Zeke, where obviously the situation was great around him, but he was the guy who really, really made it go. Terrell was the Mahomes of running backs in the playoffs, averaged well over 150 yards per game in the postseason. That's why I say, if you ever want a playoff performer, who are you going with? Like, probably Brady won, and then Terrell Davis too. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, that's how dominant of a playoff football player he was. And you know what? Some guys just turn it on when it matters most, and it's inexplainable, but yeah, that's how I'm feeling about that. Some guys, once again, turn it on when it matters most, but that's how I'm feeling. Let's see what y'all are saying over here. Okay. All right, we got some good takes in the chat tonight. All right. Yeah, overall, I think it's been an amazing time with y'all doing Denver Football After Dark. November 19th, 11:57 p.m. on this fine Wednesday, about to become Thursday morning in Denver. And yeah, overall, I hope you guys are feeling good with the bye week. I think it came at a perfect time. Vance Joseph today in his interview with Schrager talked about the fact that the Broncos had played 7 games in 39 days, and they had won 7 games in 39 days. We have not lost in almost 2 calendar months. Even if the Commanders beat us in 10, 11 days, it will have been over 2 months since we lost a football game. And just think about that. Think about the fact that, week 3 against the Chargers was September 25th, 2025. And, we've gone almost 2 months without an L. And hopefully, here's to hoping that continues. Here's to hoping that loss against the Chargers is our last loss of the season. Commanders are getting pummeled. If Jayden Daniels is not playing, I agree. But if Jayden Daniels does play, then he is a game changer. That being said, I don't think they're really set up for success around him. Terry McLaurin has injured his quad at will all year long. The offensive line is still very, very poor, even though I know they drafted Connor Lee, and he just looked lost in week 2 against Parsons. Now, granted, that's not an easy matchup for a rookie, but I don't see why Benito or Cooper wouldn't be able to bring the hammer like those guys did. And obviously, we got our front, so there's almost nothing about the Washington offense that you need to respect if Jayden Daniels or Terry McLaurin are out. That being said, I also think Bo will play better because you think about the bye week, and Bo was so much better last year after the bye and after the mini bye. Yeah. Justin Sternad, the next Zach Bond. Dude, I've loved Sternad's development. I was really, really mad at Sternad last year based on how he played in December. But I took a long look in the mirror after the season. I was like, listen, this guy was never supposed to be on the field. Okay, he was like our inside linebacker 4 last year, and he came up big. He was one of those guys that he was always really good against bad teams, but bad against good teams. That's how it was last year. And it seems like this year he's really turned that around. So maybe he is. Now, Zach Bond obviously has those crazy skills rushing the passer, which I don't think Justin Sternad, I don't think that's in his repertoire just because he's, 5th, 6th year in the NFL, and that's just never the guy he's been. But credit to him, man. Credit to him for sticking with it. He was about to re-sign somewhere else last year, if you guys remember. He was about to re-sign somewhere else, and then we brought him back. But, I thought about last year, and I thought about our defense crumbling in, December, just bleeding yards. But that had, I think, more to do with the fact that P.J. Locke was a starting safety above all else. Sternad has more sacks than most edge rushers this year. Thank you for the stat. That's very interesting. Once again, I think that's more to the fact that the Broncos blitz a decent amount. They don't blitz a shitload like they did last year, but, Vance Joseph dials up pressure. He's an aggressive attack defense. And also, the Broncos defense relies a lot on swarm sacks. So, yeah. But, yeah, how many sacks does he have? I should probably look that up. But, yeah, I don't know. He's not, doing crazy, I don't see him do crazy pass rush moves. But if he's, doing that and I'm just missing that, then props to him. He only has 3.5 sacks. That's actually not that crazy. Yeah, 4.5. That's not that crazy, but still, I get what you're saying. You are my favorite Broncos update, bro. Criminally underviewed. Well, I appreciate you. E. Carson J. Thank you very much. That means a lot. And like I said, I always love coming on here and giving my take. I know I've done it in the form of shorts, but I do want to get back to long videos now that I got this really, really sick camera. And yeah, that's how I'm feeling. But let me know how you guys are feeling about the Broncos season upcoming. And, I titled this, How Far Will the Denver Broncos Go in the 2025 playoffs? I think they can make a really, really deep run. Now, obviously, there are a few obstacles in the way. Kansas City is a dangerous team. I'm not going to sit here and say that Kansas City, you can feel good about playing them. If it's a 2 versus 7, if it's a 3 versus 6, I can promise you nobody is going to feel good about playing Kansas City going into the wildcard game. Now, not to say that our team would be scared of them, but, if you're drafting the amount of teams, what teams you want to face in playoff time in the AFC, yeah. I can't imagine KC is first on anybody's radar. My soul tells me to prep for a one and done. I would have agreed with you had we not had that game against KC this past week. I think we were very much headed towards not playing winning football in the playoffs and a one and done based on how our offense and special teams had been the past month and a half. But I'm telling you, man, this team is different. This team has that dog in them. Now, obviously, if they come out and lay an egg against the Commanders, well, we'll talk then. But yeah. Am I shirt on inside out? Oh no, it's not. Okay, thank you for always defending Moss. Hold on. There we go. Thank you for always defending Moss. Oh, I got you. I got you. I wouldn't say he's a legit cornerback one, but because if we had lost against Kansas City, I think a big narrative would have been how frantic he played. We'll say the illegal contact was a bad call, like straight up. That was insane. That was diabolical. Like you can't call that in the NFL if you're an official, but the Worthy one, I think that was valid because he like had him right here, and while you're not really hindering the receiver, that's a little too much hand fighting, and the refs are probably going to call that. We got pretty lucky they didn't call that week 2 against Indianapolis, against Alec Pierce. But what else? There was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, but the 3rd and 17 to Hollywood Brown, like you got to put yourself in a better position there. You really do. You really do. Coach Payton, Coach of the Year, are causing half the offense's problems. I actually don't think he's causing the offense. Hold on. I'm going to prop this down just a little bit again. I don't think he's causing half the offense's problems. I think the offense's problems this year primarily were Bonex. I think, while Sean Payton deserves his blame, he deserves his blame. I also think the weapons have not done anything to help Bonex out for most of the year. I've been saying it since the Chiefs game. I think Troy Franklin may legitimately have the worst hand-eye coordination I've ever seen. Yeah. But yes, there are things you can blame Sean Payton on for this year. Media hype train before the season began. The fact that we're penalized at the rate that we are, and it's week 10, 11, and it still hasn't got cleaned up. Putting that pressure on your quarterback to be a superhuman quarterback, and putting the pressure on your team to be that good. And while good on you, like I get why you're excited, but still. I didn't like when we drafted Pat Bryant because Alec Manor was still available, but I guess I was wrong. Dude, I didn't like the Pat Bryant pick either. I wasn't a big fan. The reason I wasn't a big fan was because I genuinely, going off mock ADP, which it's not perfect, but, just going off that, most had him as like a day 3 at best guy. And there were a lot of guys who went in that round that I still really liked. We still got sniped on Fannin and Kyle Williams, but there were a lot of dudes that I really, really liked in that round, in that range. But yeah, Pat Bryant is one of the highest floor rookie wide receivers I've ever seen. Like anytime the play comes his way, he makes it. And I don't remember the last time we had one of those. I genuinely don't. Maybe Marvin Mims when he was on special teams and whenever he got those deep balls, but the coaching staff did not use Marvin Mims in the role that they should have early on in his career. Penalties have been a huge problem. They have. And honestly, I think part of it is just the Sean Payton tax. Referees obviously don't like Sean Payton because he, made them be accountable, wanted pass interference to be reviewable. And then he got that after the Saints got absolutely hosed. And then the referees were so pissed off and so petty about it that they were just like, all right, no, we're not doing this. So then they don't do it. And yeah, I will say, I agree that a lot of the times I feel like our team is not officiated fairly, like Riley Moss in particular. Especially the holding call on Palczewski to make it 3rd and 15 on the final drive. But I don't know. I still think a lot of it is self-inflicted. Like pre-snap penalties, that's on nobody except for the offense. You jump off sides. Once again, that's on nobody except for you. But yeah. Penalties not going to get better because they hate Sean Payton and now they hate Denver, y'all. Yeah, agreed. Once again, Sean Payton tax. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Jerry Jeudy was worse. Are you talking about Troy? Like when I compared him to Troy Franklin, or like the hand-eye coordination was bad? I don't think Jerry Jeudy was terrible. I think he was a very, very talented wide receiver who was average because he had no competitive instinct and he didn't want to be here. Yeah. Refs have been the problem. Are you talking about like penalties in particular? Because they are not way down for us, but if you're talking about across the league, I don't think they're down either. So I don't know what you're saying, Carson, but I would love to elaborate because this has been a big talking point for me pretty much the whole year. Anytime I talk Broncos. Dang, I'm watching myself on my TV. Looks sick. I love Riley Moss. He's the number one corner on most teams. I don't agree with this. I don't think he's the number one corner on most teams. Is he a above average to good cornerback too? Yes. That being said, he needs to stop being frantic. I think part of the reason is because, he is a nicotine user. I know that he's a nicotine user because he was, what are they called? Would you pack these? Lips. He was packing lips during Justin Sternad's podcast not that long ago. I think before last season began, he was on Sternad's podcast, and Riley Moss was always packing lips. It didn't make sense to me, but yeah. We've been beating the refs every game, even against Super Bowl teams. I love them to clean it up, but at the end of the day, Zebras beat you. You ain't good enough. Yeah, agreed. Even though I think the Chiefs got a very favorable whistle, even though the same amount of penalties were called, I think the Chiefs got a favorable whistle, and we overcame that. We may get 3 or 4. This is funny. I'm actually screenshotting this. This is funny. Do the Broncos need the Colts to lose more, or to lose more even the Patriots? Or Chiefs to lose more, even the Patriots? The priority needs to be Kansas City missing the playoffs, like flat out. I would much rather I'd be fine with the AFC Championship going to Lucas Oil if that meant that Kansas City was out of the playoffs. But yeah. Bold of you to assume they're making the playoffs. Are you talking about the Broncos or Chiefs? Because I'm saying the Broncos are pretty much in, but if you're talking about KC, then I don't disagree. The holding penalties feel like they're way down. They might be scarred from Bulls. I mean, I will say they were down this past week. Yeah, but it's still been a huge problem. Wattenberg gets flagged a lot. McGlinchey flagged not that much, but a lot. Bold of you to assume that the Broncos are making the playoffs at 9-2 with a 96% chance to make the playoffs. Yeah, really bold. Do you remember the Broncos versus Chiefs game in 2022? Yes, I do remember that. I remember that Kansas City was up 27-0 with 4 minutes to go in the second half. And then Russell Wilson gets hurt, and then Brett Rippon has to, be whatever. Did somebody text me? Oh, no. No. But yes, I do remember that game. Jerry Jeudy, 3 touchdowns. And I remember, had Russell Wilson played, not gotten concussed, we probably win that game. Now, granted, it wasn't really within the Broncos to really actually give the Chiefs a fight, but the fact that they came back from 27-0 after we picked off Mahomes 3 times, it took us picking off Mahomes 3 times for that to happen. But yeah, I'll be back here when they're 9-8 and third in the division. Okay, all right. The 6th one, I would love for you to come back when they're 9-8 and finish third in the division. I would love for you to come back when the potentially Jane Daniel-less Commanders beat us in 10 days. I would love for you to come back after we play the Raiders, Packers, Jaguars in the final month of the year. Okay, final month of the year. Okay, yeah. Chiefs need to be out. Yeah, that needs to be the priority here. Like, once again, that team is dangerous. Like, we've seen it. You think you can count them out, and then all of a sudden they are not to be taken lightly. So, yeah. False start penalties are way down, especially for Philadelphia. I think you're talking about the tush push, and I'm sorry, but the tush push needs to get banned this offseason. I understood when they were talking about it, like, in being in the name of player safety. That being said, I understood why it did not get banned, but it's too improper. Like, you can't officiate it. Now, I think the rule that they tried to pass off was really, really stupid. Like, you can't push a ball carrier. I think that's a really, really stupid rule, and I think that Green Bay, respectfully, rightfully so, was clowned for it. But yeah, no, I think that play needs to get banned. It's just not football at this point. Like, it's okay if it's like no team can stop it, but if no team can stop it because it's not being officiated properly, it doesn't belong in the game. It just doesn't. Bulls for protector of the year. Yeah, no, I think if the season were to end today, this would be a very real thing. Maybe Sewell because he does have the name recognition, but if you're looking at the stats, I'm going Bulls all day long. McGlinchey, Pancake, and Chris Jones was underrated. I actually didn't see that rep, but I would love to go back and watch the film and watch that because that sounds pretty cool. But Chris Jones had a pretty good game against us. I know he hasn't really been himself this year, but him and Karlaftis both made quite a few plays. So hats off to them for making their plays. But, we were still the Broncos and we still got shit done. Bulls being good at football still blows my mind. I think Bulls in that whole thing was where I saw a lot of disconnect between media and the fan base. I remember being a junior in high school in 2017, Bulls rookie year. And I remember being like, well, yeah, he's still like a rookie. Like, we still should give him some time to develop. And, I don't know. It just seemed like nobody was interested in giving him that time to develop. And then Munchak comes in and completely revives his career. 2020 had an all-pro season. And they declined Garrett Bull's fifth-year option at one point, which was crazy. But then they extend him for 4 years, and then they extend him for another 4 years. So, yeah, it is crazy to think about how far he's come. I remember a lot of people saying that we should have drafted Ramczyk, and credit to him. Ramczyk was an all-pro for a few years, but longevity, I'm taking Bulls still, and it's been amazing. Tackle play usually gets better with age. Yes, that is true, because offensive line, Garrett Bowles came in as a 25-year-old rookie, and offensive line is a how do I put this? It's a smart guy's game. And, it's one of those where you need experience. And credit to him because he, when it was really rough for him, I never heard him, complain to the media. I never heard him be like, I'm being unfairly targeted. But, offensive line is a smart guy's game. Even though we have those really good offensive line prospects that usually come in and we've had a couple this year, like Josh Simmons on KC has been really good. There have been another handful of offensive linemen that have been really good, like Zabel in Seattle, probably an all-pro. But yeah, offensive line is a smart guy's game. And, you need those experience. You need that experience to figure out what you're good at, what you're not. And you need good coaching too, man. You see bad coaching, that's what the Raiders offensive line looks like. I would let Bowles protect my kids. Dude, same. I let Bowles protect my kids. I don't even have kids. Miners is the only lineman on the Broncos that gets credit nationally. He just runs over inside linebackers like they're speed bumps. You are correct. But now what I will say is that I don't know. I feel like Quinn has not been Quinn at a lot of points this year, but the fact that he's dealing with the mystery illness, I feel like he's really ramped it up in the past 3 weeks. I feel like he's really been able to play his best ball the past 3 weeks. So I'm interested to see. I wonder what he's dealing with because that's kind of crazy. But yeah, no, Quinn does get a lot of credit nationally, and rightfully so. But a guy who is on the Broncos line that I don't think gets enough credit is McGlinchey because we were the Browns of right tackles before he got here. Bowles is part gorilla. Yeah, vanilla gorilla. That wasn't that Brock Lesnar's nickname. Maybe that could be Garrett Bowles' nickname. Can't wait for Powers to come back. Palcho was good, but against the Chiefs, his size and experience came back to bite us. This kind of nails it right here. Unfortunately, I do think, his size and experience did come back to bite us against the Chiefs. And, Chris Jones just got the better of him on a couple plays. But, Palcho's been good. But I've been saying this whole time that he's, I love Palcho. But right now, he's not a guy that would deter you from investment in the interior offensive line if they decided to go that route in the first round. Obviously, he's still developing as a player. He came in, he was another guy who was an older rookie. I think he's 25 now. But we signed him as a UDFA in 23 or 24. I can't remember. Okay, he is 26 years old. Yeah, offensive line, once again, it's usually a guy. First of all, trading Bo Nix talk is just really weird right now. I don't see why we need to, go this far, consider trading him. I agree that if you could get off of him and Burrow for a first, but first of all, Cincinnati is not accepting that. Second of all, I don't like the message it sends to, talk about this when we're 9-2. And 3, it's just what are you on? What are you on? Love how Bo Nix doesn't get sacked. Super underrated part of QB play. I agree, but I think in the middle of the year this year, a lot of it was he was being a little too risk averse. He was being a little too conservative, if you know what I mean. It felt like he was like Russell Wilson in 2023 for a lot of this year, except he wasn't taking the sacks, unlike Russ back then. Like Russ took an insane amount of sacks. And yes, I do like how Bo Nix doesn't get sacked, but I still saw a lot of negative plays out there. And at a certain point, I was like, sink or swim. Thomas is on crack. Yeah. Would you like to respond to anybody, Thomas? Because I don't know what you're on. Moss called for PI, pale interference again. I know. Dude, they hate to see people with this talent play DB. Shane McCoy was talking crap about Bo Nix. What a hater. Yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't watch national media, but if he has his opinion about Bo Nix, then hats off to him. Listen, I think the idea of trading Bo Nix, we're just playing Madden if it's being proposed to it, seriously. Trading your quarterback just it just doesn't make sense. I don't like the message it sends, especially on a rookie contract. Once again, fine, Bo Nix and a first for Joe Burrow, whatever. But once again, that's not happening. It's not realistic, and this isn't Madden. Any QB could cook in our offensive scheme and elite receivers. We don't have an elite receiver, so I don't know what you're saying. Bo Nix isn't even top 20. He's on the same level of Darnold and Daniel Jones. You lost me with everything you said here. Any QB could cook in our offensive scheme. Did you see what happened with Russell Wilson? And then he's on the same level of Darnold and Daniel Jones. You're talking about two of the guys who have been playing the best football in the league this year. We should trade Nix for Stafford. Dude, this isn't Madden. I don't know what you're on. I'm not going to highlight any more of his comments because I'm not going to give time of day to someone like that. Joe Broken Bro isn't worth a first-round pick. Entirely disagree. If you can get fourth, the fourth or fifth best quarterback in the NFL when he's healthy, I get all the missed games. I get it. But at the end of the day, I don't agree. I don't agree with him not being worth a first-round pick. If he's on the open market, the price starts with 2 firsts and a very, very high-quality player, borderline elite player at another position, and then maybe 3 firsts because he's still 29, I think. Check his age. 28. Going to be 29 in December. Sean Payton got amazing production out of Jameis Winston. Yeah, I mean, he did. But yeah. Bo was winning games in the clutch. Everyone doubted the 2015 Broncos. That's why they drafted our defense. I will say it is something that Sutton and Mims are elite. You don't know ball. Maybe lay off the weed. All right. You are going in timeout. All right. So Bro thinks Marvin Mims and Cortland Sutton is an elite pass catching tandem. Also, Broncos country, that reminds me. If you put our pass catchers in an NFL rank, where would you put them? They're easily bottom 10, potentially bottom 5. I'm not even kidding. Bo was winning games in the clutch. Everyone doubted the 2015 Broncos. That's why they drafted defense. Yeah. The fact that we keep making all these crazy fourth quarter comebacks, that's not invalid, but yeah. Sorry, I just had to rinse my mouth real quick. But yeah, everyone doubted the 2015 Broncos, and that's why they drafted our defense. Yeah. Our defense is special, man. That's all I can say about that. Let him right where he is. I love Bo. 820. End up being the best quarterback out of this draft and one that is going to win the Super Bowl. Yeah, of course. I think we all, as Broncos country, want our quarterback to be the one that wins the Super Bowl. But if not, I'm not going to be the sky is falling or anything like that. But yeah. I'm seeing people drop out of here, so I'm only going to go for like 5 to 10 minutes longer because I did start this a little late tonight. A great QB elevates inexperienced talent. Court is not able to carry an offense. He's a great receiver when teams can't bracket him every play. I think, yeah, I agree with all these. Jalen Hurts just threw for 135 yards. Tom Brady to win a championship. Again, this isn't Madden. All right, this guy's also going in timeout. That's probably his alternate account. Jalen Hurts just threw for 135 yards. You don't need Tom Brady to win a championship. Yes, I agree, but you want a sustainable team. You want a team that's set up for success everywhere, including quarterback. So if you can have a quarterback that's just able to get into a dogfight when it matters the most, and he can confidently win you that game, then yeah. And credit to him. Credit to Bonex, Vance Joseph saying that nobody in the sideline ever panics when they're down a bunch. So yeah. But I think people think about the 2015 no-fly zone. That was an insane defensive run. Like, that is a once-in-a-lifetime defensive run. I'm not even kidding, because, while the 2013 Legion of Boom and the 2001 Ravens and all those great defensive units, while all those may have been the best, played a lot better defense, more stingy defense, our defense always came up with the sack, always came up with a game-changing play, always came up with a game-changing pick. The last time we ever lost that season was against the Steelers. And to be quite honest, all it took was that game, and then we really turned it around. Once again, we were so good on the defensive side of the ball that year. And, luckily that defense, I didn't think they had that killer instinct weeks 2 and 3, but they do now. I think that a lot of our young receiver talent is coming along. Franklin and Bryant have been showing up. Franklin needs glasses, but he's always open. Yeah, that's such a weird thing, though. How are you always open, but you, can't catch the ball and you can't track the deep ball? That's crazy. I think we need to add one more receiver this offseason. I think just one more big acquisition, okay? And then your room is complete. Then your room is perfectly set. Once again, Franklin is good, but I think he's best deployed as a wide receiver 3 guy. I think he's best deployed as a depth piece, even though he has made his plays. I think, yeah. Bo is showing he has the clutch gene. Yeah. I agree. That's crazy. Was there anybody in sports media that inspired you to start your own channel, or was it something you always wanted to do? Really good question. I appreciate the personal question. I always love talking about, who I am, because yes, I'm the Kodiak, but also I'm Alex too. So, I think what inspired me to start was 5 years ago. I was watching BDG fantasy football, and I was like, you know what? I think I need to, since I'm analytical, and people always tell me, oh my God, you have such an amazing voice. People are always like, oh my God, you have a broadcaster's voice. I watched a handful of YouTubers. Brett Coleman was a big one. I also watched the hockey guy. I love, how he was able to do visual stuff. And I loved his style, just super down to earth. And then I watched BDG. So all 3 of those. Birdman, who plays Call of Duty, and Goblin, who just talks about drugs, even though I don't do drugs, or I never have. Goblin was one of those guys that, all those guys really, really convinced me to start doing YouTube. And when I was younger, I did have some other things. I did play video games. We did, me and one of my friends offered Black Ops modding services. So yeah, but as far as sports media, I figured that, this was my best chance at potentially doing something that I loved, because I never went to college, or I did, but I dropped out pretty soon. And the good thing about the modern world is you can make your own math, or you can make your own path. So yeah, I appreciate the question, Jaco. I'm starring that. That almost made my night. We're behind the 8 ball on cap 2. Actually, I'm not going to say that almost made my night. That did make my night. We're behind the 8 ball on cap 2. Wait till next year. It'll be nasty. Yeah. And the problem is we are down draft picks, though, but we can never get those back. We're down draft picks because of the Russell Wilson and Sean Payton trades. Now, Sean Payton trade, 100% worth it, but Unfortunately, that Russell Wilson trade will hurt us until those 2022, 23 draft cycles are out of the league. Still convinced this defense can win it all? Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you look at the things that really travel in November and December and January when it gets really cold outside. It's pass rush and it's secondary, and we have both that are playing at a very high level. And we have Jamar Cain and Jim Leonard coaching them as well as Vance Joseph as our defensive coordinator. So the structure of it is really good. And I think there's just a belief in the room that other teams haven't had. Love your content, bro. Appreciate you, Hawaiian Bronco. I used to live in Hawaii. I went to Hawaii for my freshman year of school. Either way, great to see the 808. The 808 was full of plenty of Broncos fans. We need Emmanuel Sanders, someone who can lay out for the ball and catch it. Agreed. Like I think we need a high-end separator who can make plays. And, adding an Emmanuel Sanders to this team would be, unreal. Unreal. How would Josh Reynolds have worked out if Sean Payton kept him on the team? I don't know, man. I think a large part of last year was like relying on him to be something. But I remember he was supposed to come back and then they cut him. I don't know why they cut him. I think maybe there was more to that like little incident he was involved in where he got shot in the head. But I think from what we had seen, I did think it was slightly disappointing. But I don't know. He really wasn't what we needed either. Like it was so convoluted with Sutton, Vele. I think Vele was a big reason why they were comfortable with moving on from Josh Reynolds, even if Vele's not on the team anymore. Which, by the way, I think Vele is the receiver that this team really, really needs or has needed this year, besides like a Waddle or like a Diggs type. That would transform our offense. But yeah. Good question, though. Because honestly, I forget about the fact that Josh Reynolds is a Bronco. Give Franklin another year. He plays the same game. Yeah, the problem is we need him to be like reliable now, and a lot of the times he isn't. Now, he did make the game-winning catch for us, and he was a fourth-round pick. Like, you're relying on a fourth-round receiver. I don't care that he was mocked in the late first, early second. NFL Capital told us that he was a fourth-round prospect. That is that's funny. Well, I'm 16 years younger than that, and obviously I think something about that doesn't fit my physical profile either. If Denver does not turn the football over where the opposing offense is a short field, nobody's beating this team. Agreed. Like, if you can make other teams travel the distance of the field, especially with how, this team really does not give a lot of big plays. So if you can force them to beat you, like Kansas City, they got their long sustained drives and they still couldn't finish them. So yeah. Lil Jordan was a cut brought back. Is that Sean admitting a mistake? I wouldn't say so. I think it definitely admits that Sherfield was a mistake, but I don't think he was like, we made a mistake letting Lil Jordan Humphrey go. Because last year, once they released Lil Jordan Humphrey, I was like, good riddance. There are a lot of people that really like the way he blocks. There are a lot of people that respect his effort. And while I loved the fact that he was willing to do the dirty work, I love the fact that he was able to, be a contributor, be a good role guy. I loved what he was able to do for us. But the reality of the situation was he was a guy that turned the football over and dropped picks into other teams' hands. Now, is that Sean admitting a mistake? No. Once again, I think the mistake that they admitted on was Sherfield, considering the fact that they waived him. If you look back at the Russ trade, the Seahawks really only got Witherspoon from that trade. Yeah, Witherspoon is great, but he's like not a top 5-ish corner, top 10-ish corner. Like, he was on a really good trajectory after his rookie year. And, there's no shame in being a really, really, really good corner. But for being a 5th overall pick, I don't think it's really reaped the rewards that they were hoping. Granted, great player, but I don't think it's been all that. Also, sorry for getting my chapstick on my lips. Bo is a winner. The eyes never lie. Steer the ship and we'll be there on Super Bowl Sunday. I hope so. I hope you're right. Can't say you're wrong based on what we've seen this year. Of course, man, I've been following you for a bit, and the effort and time you put into your work is very inspiring. Thank you for sharing all that. Man, I love hearing that. Thank you, Jayco. I wish I could send you a super chat for telling me all that. Lil Jordan opened Evan Ingram up. He had several great plays on that game against the Chiefs. Doesn't need to make targets to make an impact. Still waiting for the breakout. Honestly, if Lil Jordan Humphrey is what unlocks Evan Ingram, I'm all for it because Evan Ingram has been very disappointing this year. I think a lot of it is chemistry with Bo just hasn't been there. The offense of Sean Payton is pretty difficult to learn, but I would have expected Ingram to have a lot bigger impact than he's had this year. And granted, I knew that when we signed him that he wasn't going to be like a downhill guy, but yeah, I didn't. No drops though. That's new. Yeah, especially because I feel like everybody's been dropping the ball this year. But yeah. I don't go to school in Hawaii anymore, but I went my freshman year in 2019. I went for business, but I didn't study business, and I never wanted to go to college, but it was something my parents made me do. But yeah, I was a Rainbow Warrior, but I don't go to school anymore. I am about 4 or 5 years removed from that. But going back to this, your cousin went there for business. Let's go. Go Bows. Go Rainbow Warriors. But actually, and by the way, I don't know if many of you knew this, but my favorite college team is not Hawaii. It's Arizona. No. My favorite team, my home state is Colorado. I'm in Denver. I've lived here all my life. Actually, I lived in Vegas for 2 years too, but now Denver is my Hawaii is a business school. Like what? I don't know, man. Just wanted to try something different. Thought Hawaii would be sick, and Oahu was not my favorite. And the UH campus was also really bad. Lil Jordan opened Ingram up. He had several great plays on that game against the Chiefs. Let me know what you guys think about Lil Jordan Humphrey this year. Because to be completely honest, I get why everybody's disappointed, or Evan Ingram, I meant. I get why everybody's disappointed, but there's a middle ground. I don't think things have been easy for him because of other people, like in what other guys have been asking for him, like Sean Payton. I don't know why they dropped him out of them, or I don't know why he. What am I trying to say here? Sean Payton, I don't know why he makes things so difficult on him, and I don't know why he made going out and getting Evan Ingram such a big deal. Well, yeah, the Broncos are not happy with Sherfield, and Sherfield has shown that he was not very good. You're the white Morgan Freeman. Appreciate you, Dennis. I'm going to give you a huge mile high salute just for that. This is basically what I did. Like when I was a freshman and I knew I wasn't going to go back and I knew that I was going to fail every class, I ultimately just pretty much did this. Actually, I didn't drink at the beach bunch. I only drank like the first week there and then got sick of it. But yeah. Broncos country tonight on November 20, or what do I call this? Denver Broncos tonight on November 20th, 2025 at 12:36 p.m. You are listening to this with Kodiak Broncos. And yeah, once again, this is an interactive show. So also, a lot of the mobile comments don't show up on the screen. So I'm just going to turn this off now. But yes, we are doing numbers tonight. Also, when you bring him, you might be the only guy with a deeper voice than me, dude. That's why I say you got to create content. If you got all these, great takes, and you got all these, energy, all this energy to like write essays or whatever. I know you said you're a busy guy, but use your talents to your advantage. Also, when you bring them in, then teams expect to run, opens up play action. Yes, agreed. I'm going to move to Hawaii and be homeless. Well, trust me, there's a lot of homeless people over there, especially in the area that I was in. But in Colorado, we have a secret weapon to deal with those types of people, and it's called winter. Oh, yeah. This defense is Super Bowl caliber, but the offense is so erratic. I'm waiting for a cornerback to jump a couple screen passes away from being in a blowout loss. Hopefully goes on a run. Yeah, I agree. It is a really erratic offense. Like, there's no other way to say it. But, I think what you saw against Kansas City is more of a sign of things to come for things down the stretch, especially because, after the mini bye last year against the Saints, Thursday Night Football, we came out against Carolina. Bo was scorching. Like, every time Bo dropped back that game, I'm just like, completion. Same with Atlanta. And it's great when the offense is humming along like that. Yes, I agree the defense is Super Bowl caliber. We know about that, but The offense is very, very erratic. And you know what? But all it takes is 4 good weeks, and they're not very far away from having. They're not going to be very far away from having that Lombardi Trophy coming back home. My buddy is stuck in Hawaii. He got married there and now lives on Kauai. See, I love Kauai. The only island I don't like is on Oahu, which is where my school was, unfortunately. But there are tougher, there are better places, or there are worse places to be stuck. But once again, it's expensive. There's not a lot of infrastructure. They don't like air conditioning. In my dorm in my freshman year, like I lived in a big tower because at Manoa they have freshman towers, and they're literal giant towers that you live in. And our heat index was 120 degrees because we didn't have fans. Oahu is sucky. Yeah, not my favorite. Anywhere, I loved Waikiki. I love Waikiki, but yeah, I love the big island of Maui. Maui's sick. And yeah, the big island is great. It rains a lot though. But maybe that's why the school is called the Rainbow Warriors. How about Frank Crum on special teams? Yeah, crazy. Like, I think Frank Crum and Caleb Lohner should be out there on every special teams rep. Even though Frank Crum, you don't need him on field goal protection, put him out there on field goal block. Literally, just have him be up there and stick his hand up. And I don't even know why he was playing on field goal block to begin with, because I feel like he hasn't played on field goal block all year long. But someone double check me on that. But Darren Rizzi did a heck of a job turning this team around. Obviously, I think it really started in the Raiders game with the block punt. And it was one of those things where I was like, it's really annoying now, but we got to look in the mirror. Either Sean or Darren Rizzi has to look in the mirror and be like, what we're doing is not working. And, oh, yeah. Seth Royd had one of my thoughts. Yeah, props to Rizzi. Yeah, of course. Good sushi and the North Coast on Oahu is great. It is great. And, yeah, I loved the sushi there. Hole in the wall places that were so good. Hawaii was, I get the appeal, but it wasn't for me. Sean sticks to the guns. He should. Sean should stick to the guns. And honestly, I know he doesn't like running the ball or whatever, but we're going to need a really sustained run game and good run attack. And who would have thought that J.K. Dobbins going out was the key to unlocking Bo Nix? Would have thought that Bo Nix or J.K. Dobbins sacrificing his knee was what made him go and get good. It's smart football. We'd be out Vance if he listens to us. What? It's smart football. We'd be out Vance if he listens to us. Looking for my phone. Okay. I don't know what you're trying to say. We'd be out Vance. Are you talking about Vance Joseph would leave if he listened to us? Okay. Bro, trying to spin Dobbins' injury is a good thing? No, it is not a good thing. But I can see how you think that based on what I said. But yeah, no. Yeah, 70 points from the Dolphins. 70 points from the Dolphins. Dude, I remember I was one of those people that was like, you can't have Vance Joseph come back after this game. Granted, you can't set a precedent of firing a coach after 3 games, but my expectations for the defense that rest of the year was bad. I was like, we might give up 50 points a game. And honestly, I look back at that game and I'm just like, man, I could see why that disaster happened. Okay, we were bare bones. In the secondary of that game. Justin Simmons was out. I think Kareem Jackson was suspended. So we had DeLauren Turner-Yell and someone else starting a safety. I don't think it was Locke. I think it was someone else, but someone double check me on that. But so we had Isang Bassi at nickel, terrible. Damari Mathis at cornerback 2, terrible. I think Josie Jewell was out. I think Singleton got hurt too. So we had to throw in a very raw and inexperienced Drew Sanders out there. And then what else happened that game? I remember it just being a full-fledged disaster. Zach Allen, was he there? No. Frank Clark and Randy Gregory, I remember that they were a huge issue. They could not contain the Dolphins at all. Yeah. The 70-point debacle was the smack in the face We needed to make this defense up. Dude, we play Miami next year at home, and I want our defense to play lights out. Thank you for this round, because I was thinking, like, I didn't know when he started playing special teams. I thought it was a relatively new thing, and that backs that up. Broncos are going to the Super Bowl. What's up, JD Rubio? Pleasure to see you in here. When is trade deadline? It already passed. It was 2 weeks ago. Just rewatched the 2015 season. We look nearly identical. Defense will take us all the way. I can't disagree with this. Like, anytime you need the defense to come up big, you know what's weird is that I was never worried. You know, going into that AFC Championship, I was like, okay, I think we got a good shot, and nobody else did. Like, everybody else in the media, like, I remember reading a Bleacher Report article, 28-13. Was the person's prediction. They had Patriots, but yeah, no. Yeah, agreed. Kia's been a beast on special teams. Yeah, he has. He's been a big reason why we've been able to turn it around. Also, Skinner, he was a big reason why I thought we were bad early on, but Skinner's really turning it around. Prentice low-key GOAT fullback. I'm going to say GOAT fullback because you can't really do a whole lot with him. Like, you can jam it in short yardage. He can pass protect, but that's kind of it. GOAT fullbacks like Patrick Ricard and Vontae Leach and, all those guys, Kyle Juszczyk, all those guys are so valuable to their teams. But, yeah. I did get the chance to watch this. I got a chance to listen to this when I was driving to work today. Incredible interview. And, he did share some really cool insight. I thought it was interesting that he talked about, Jade Barron's vision. Sean Payton always talks about the vision for players. I thought it was really interesting that for Jade Barron, they had vision of inside with nickel flex, or no, inside with outside flex year one. And then in year two, he's probably going to be like an outside guy. I thought that was amazing. And he talked about, the team being really tight knit, and the fact that Bo Nix cannot do anything wrong. It was an amazing interview, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a head coach again. And he also, one thing that stuck out to me that makes me think he's going to be a head coach again is that he talked about in the NFL, there are some players that you can coach hard, some players that you can't coach hard, some players that you can go public with, some players that you have to, keep it in the position meeting or whatever. And, he talked about the fact that there are just some guys who don't respond to adversity. So you just got to, hide, figure it out with them too. K-Jack did play. In the Miami disaster. That doesn't surprise me because he was washed and couldn't do anything besides lay hits that got flagged for 15 yards. No running back. Broncos going to be cooked. I think I get what you're saying, but yeah, no. We're not cooked at all. Like, obviously not having Dobbins sucks, but I think we're fine. Jaleel McLaughlin really impressed me on Sunday. Now, obviously, he's not a guy that I think we can reliably lean upon, November, December, January, but yeah. Harvey is great. What do you mean? Harvey is not that great yet. Like, I think he's coming into his mold. I think he's coming into his own, but yeah. K-Jack got railroaded. He did. Derek don't know ball. I won't go that far. But either way. 12:47 a.m. Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Denver Broncos tonight. I'm only going to go for like 5-10 minutes longer because I do got a shower and I'm getting a little tired. But yeah. Either way, love talking football with you guys. I'm going to make a video tomorrow too. Show off my shiny new camera. Gonna make a short too, but yeah. Also, do you guys like my shorts or my long form content better? Like, because I stream, you guys hear me quite a bit on stream, but I also make shorts, and I've kind of shied away from the long form content. Prentice was out there sometimes on third down. He laid a sick block. I'm gonna see if I can find it. To show it to y'all. Prentice. Here we go. Share screen. Can't see over my microphone. And let me add this to the stage. This was pretty sick. This was really, really sick. Watch him right here. Oh, and that's a big reason why that play to Troy Franklin was made. You know, we needed to get something going on offense that drive. Hold on. Watch Prentice right here. All right, McGlinchey picks it up. Boom! Wow, that's a deep drop by Nix. Right on the money. I saw that block, yeah. Him standing over that safety was rad. Wait, let me see this. Let me see this. Okay, so he just completely lights him up, and then... Oh, that's tough. That is tough. That is tough. The bad side about a winning streak is that streaks are meant to be broken. Agreed. Professional sports records are meant to be broken. Streaks are meant to be broken. That being said, hopefully our luck doesn't run out soon. You could say the same thing about New England. No running game going to catch up quick. I agree that, like, you know, our running game isn't where I'd like it to be for us to really make a deep run, but I don't think we showed last year what our offense can do with no run game. And while last year's defense was good, it was not the elite unit that we have this year, you know. Adding Hufanga and Greenlaw and Barron have completely transformed this defense into something insane. Hello from Colorado. Hello from Littleton. I'm in Littleton. Where are you from, Matthew? What do you think is our biggest weakness? Linebacker, second receiver. I would go with weapons overall in general right now. I think inline tight end is still a problem. I don't think Troutman's been that good this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall just weapons. I think honestly quarterback, in my opinion, I think Bo Nix had been the biggest weakness on this team throughout most of the year. Granted, he did turn it around, but he looked like an entirely new quarterback against the Chiefs, so that gives me a lot of hope. If you're going the defensive side of the ball, yeah, probably linebacker. Singleton, you know, he means a lot to this team. Like, I completely underestimated what he means to this team, even with all the really, really bad play he had early on in this season. I do think Singleton is very valuable to this team. I do. Westminster. I used to play hockey on Skate City, Westminster. Maybe I should check out the No Lie Zone. Are they good? Vance Joseph shared a quote that was like, "Mistakes are mine, but effort is yours." Yeah, when he was talking about Wade Phillips, like that is one of the smartest things I've ever heard. And it's crazy. It's crazy that he thinks like that. And he said players first, scheme second. That's awesome. Also, his thoughts on coming back to Den after his head coaching stint with no ego or no bad feelings. Yeah, agreed. A lot of people think that Vance Joseph got, the short end of the stick when he was here. And, I didn't agree with that. I think the fact that we got blown out as big as we did in every game in 2017 was just bad. It was just really bad. And, obviously that was years and years of multiple bad drafting decisions, an aging roster really catching up to us, not having any talent, relying on Vance Joseph, and I don't know how he was during that time, but yeah. I'm going to touch on this before the football things. How hard is it to learn backwards skating for hockey? When you're playing hockey, it's one of those things that just comes natural to you. Like, it's either do or die, adapt or die, and yeah, you got to work on it, but learned it pretty quickly. Now, I was never great at backwards skating when I played hockey, but I could do it. Yeah, Westminster. Look what happened to Javante after an ACL. Singleton's a beast. Here's what I'm gonna pull up something. There was one of my favorite Broncos Twitter follows is Colorado Aussie. And unfortunately, I think we saw a little too much of this from Singleton early on this year. Like, against the Colts, this game was a joke from Singleton. This game is just bad. Wait, hold on. Can you guys see? Like, that's just embarrassing. It really is. Shout out to Hufanga for getting this tackle or whatever, but like, watch. Hold on. All right, you see Singleton highlighted there? So Jonathan Cooper crashes inside. DJ Jones, he gets whammed by Tyler Warner, or he almost gets him in the backfield, but he just completely whiffs. Pittman blocks him in the back, but that's not in the tackle box, so it's not a penalty. And Singleton right here is just bad. Bad. And Alex Singleton in coverage is still a huge liability, but yeah. Wait, hold on. I'm going to pull something up. Aqib Talib is the driver, and his takes are football IQ 200. Aqib Talib, he strikes out to me as one of those guys that you wouldn't think is smart, but man, on the field, I bet he was crazy intelligent. I was a farmer in high school. That's awesome. That's awesome in Westminster. I'm going to pull something up that I had said about Alex Singleton in June. Let me see where if I have this. Okay, I might have to scroll a little bit to find this, which I apologize, but also, can you guys believe we're like a little over halfway done with the NFL regular season? That's like almost concerning to me. It's almost concerning to me. All right, sorry, I do have to search for this manually, but not an inside linebacker's job to pass protect. Greenlaw missed a big sticks pass pro against Old Man Kelsey. I think I noticed that Hufanga do that more, but maybe Greenlaw did. I don't know. But in that clip, like that was just terrible pursuit. And hold on, I still want to find what I said about Singleton. Oh, this will be easier for me to finally found the search bar. Good God, Twitter's had so many updates recently. Oh shoot. I think my camera died. Okay, I think my camera died, so I am just going to switch to my regular old reliable one. My webcam. I do want to highlight this though. All right. So the gap between Singleton and Surtain in passer rating allowed is the gap between QB1 and QB41 in passer rating. I tweeted this out. Peyton Manning's 2013 passer rating was 115.1. So whenever an opposing quarterback targets Alex Singleton, they're firing at 14 points higher than 2013 Peyton Manning. So here's what I had said about Singleton. Look, June 29th, 2025. My thinking was like, all right, how do so many people have Alex Singleton penciled in inside linebacker too? Alex Singleton was not very good. In 2023, we didn't need him on the defensive side of the ball to play good football last year. Now, granted, he has turned it around, and he has been a big reason why this defense is what it is today. But this is, oh yeah, I think you're right. Overheat. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's greened out, but that's not because he's like an exceptionally talented football player. It's because he knows the defense. He's a good like culture guy, and whatever. Like, yes, instincts are a part of your acumen and your whatever as a football player, but I gotta say, man, I have not been very impressed with him for the most part this year. And I did miss because I didn't think he'd get cut. Or I thought he'd get cut, but that never ended up happening. But yes, I think you are right that it is overheat because I remember watching a lot of videos about that. Dude, Jonas Griffith was the Tim Patrick of defense, except Tim Patrick actually made some plays for us. Like, Griffith was the guy that, like, got a couple games, and then he just kept tearing his ACL, and then I'd be like, dang. He's a tackling machine. Coverage, not so much. It is what it is. See, even then, I don't agree with the fact that he's a tackling machine, because if you look at missed tackle rate, he's amongst the worst in the NFL, or he has some of the worst in the NFL. Like, hold on. So just the fact that his batting average is pretty low in that regard. Now, I agree that he's a all right run defender, but Denver Broncos. Defense. Tackling. All right. We'll see how he finishes the season. Yeah, but judging a guy on tackles, like, the problem with defense is that actually playing defense doesn't correlate to getting like real stats. He is like whatever. He does make those like cleanup plays or whatever, but tackles is not like one of those stats that shows up and I'm just like, man, this guy's a beast. Either way, since it is getting really late, it's 1 a.m. and this guy is over perfect in tackles. Man, perfect. What a throwback. Either way, I always love a friendly football debate, and he doesn't get penalized. He destroyed Cam Scatterbo. Dude was dropping passes. Wait, hold on. Last thing I'll say about Singleton. He should have. All right, I can't find it. Oh, well. That being said, Scatterbo, he got that touchdown, and it was against Alex Singleton. He got that touchdown on 3rd and 11 in the red zone to go up 14-zip. And yeah. I don't know. Yes, he did destroy Cam Scatterbo, and he did give him his welcome to the NFL moment. But yeah, either way, I've appreciated y'all. This has been an amazing, amazing night tonight. And I do want to highlight this one because this was an amazing comment. It always makes me feel good when you guys care about Alex, the person, instead of Kodiak. But yeah, he wasn't a cast. I won't deny he's tough as nails. Like, playing and then having cancer surgery, that's crazy. And then breaking his thumb not once but twice this year. That's insane. I've watched your vids for a bit, but this is the first time I've seen yours. I wasn't bored even for a second. Keep it up, man. Hey, man, appreciate you. And once again, I appreciate when you guys care about when you show you care about Alex, not Kodiak. Good stuff. I have to get up in 4 hours. Oh, man, do you have work in 4 hours? Woof. I hope it goes well for you, bro, because I don't work tomorrow. Service industry is fun, and the coolest thing about it is that I get really, really late nights. But either way, I want to give a shout out to y'all. Roan, we need Nick Ron to shave his head. Yeah, we do. Seth, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You have a lot of thoughts, and I love hearing what you have to say. And once again, hop on camera sometime. Dennis Reisman, 9180. I will put you in our Broncos Discord. If I'm going to make a channel, you'll have to help me out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would love to do that. And once you do, come back to me, and I'll invite you to the Broncos Creator Discord. And me, David, and Mark and Jeremy, who you're familiar with, definitely can show you the ropes. All right, Derek, I appreciate you. C-Note, appreciate you. JJ, appreciate you. I think first-time listener. First time I've seen him. I appreciate you. Even the trolls. KB, appreciate you too. Even the trolls that are Chiefs fans. I love y'all. Either way, y'all are amazing. Loved having y'all in here tonight. Without further ado, it is 1:02 a.m., so I'm going to bed. Or I'm going to shower, then go to bed. But I appreciate y'all. Take it easy, fellas.